You really think I ought to do something?" Newman laid his hand on his companion's arm and looked at him a moment through sagaciously narrowed eyelids. "Try it and see. You are not good enough for it, but we will stretch a point." "Do you really think I can make some money? I should like to see how it feels to have a little." "Do what I tell you and you shall be rich," said Newman. "Think of it." And he looked at his watch and prepared to resume his way to Madame de Bellegarde's box. "Upon my word I will think of it," said Valentin. "I will go and listen to Mozart another half hour. I can always think better to music, and profoundly meditate upon it." The Marquis was with his wife when Newman entered their box. He was bland, remote, and correct as usual, or, as it seemed to Newman, even more than usual. "What do you think of the opera?" asked our hero. "What do you think of the Don?" "We all know what Mozart is," said the Marquis. "Our impressions don't date from this evening. Mozart is youth, freshness, brilliancy, facility. A little too great facility, perhaps. But the execution is here and there deplorably rough." "I am very curious to see how it ends," said Newman. "You speak as if it were a feuilleton in the Figaro," observed the Marquis. "You have surely seen the opera before." "Never," said Newman. "I am sure I should have remembered it. Donna Elvira reminds me of Madame de Cintré. I don't mean in her circumstances, but in the music she sings." "It is a very nice distinction," laughed the Marquis, lightly. "There is no great possibility, I imagine, of Madame de Cintré being forsaken." "Not much," said Newman. "But what becomes of the Don?" "The devil comes down, or comes up," said Madame de Bellegarde, "and carries him off. I suppose Zerlina reminds you of me." "I will go to the foyer for a few moments," said the Marquis, "and give you a chance to say that the commander, the man of stone, resembles me." And he passed out of the box. The little marquise stared an instant at the velvet ledge of the balcony, and then murmured, "Not a man of stone, a man of wood." Newman had taken her husband's empty chair. She made no protest, and then she turned suddenly and laid her closed fan upon his arm. "I am very glad you came in," she said. "I want to ask you a favor. I wanted to do so on Thursday at my mother-in-law's ball, but you would give me no chance. You were in such very good spirits that I thought you might grant my little favor then. Not that you look particularly doleful now. It is something you must promise me. Now is the time to take you. After you are married you will be good for nothing. Come, promise." "I never sign a paper without reading it first," said Newman. "Show me your document." "No, you must sign it with your eyes shut. I will hold your hand. Come, before you put your head into the noose. You ought to be thankful to me for giving you a chance to do something amusing." "If it is so amusing," said Newman, "it will be in even better season after I am married." "In other words," cried Madame de Bellegarde, "you will not do it at all. You will be afraid of your wife." "Oh, if the thing is intrinsically improper," said Newman, "I won't go into it. If it is not, I will do it after my marriage." "You talk like a treatise on logic, and English logic into the bargain!" exclaimed Madame de Bellegarde. "Promise, then, after you are married. After all, I shall enjoy keeping you to it." "Well, then, after I am married," said Newman, serenely. The little marquise hesitated a moment, looking at him, and he wondered what was coming. "I suppose you know what my life is," she presently said. "I have no pleasure, I see nothing, I do nothing. I live in Paris as I might live at Poitiers. My mother-in-law calls me—what is the pretty word?—a gadabout, accuses me of going to unheard of places, and thinks it ought to be joy enough for me to sit at home and count over my ancestors on my fingers. But why should I bother about my ancestors? I am sure they never bothered about me. I don't propose to live with a green shade on my eyes. I hold that things were made to look at. My husband, you know, has principles, and the first on the list is that the Tuileries are dreadfully vulgar. If the Tuileries are vulgar, his principles are tiresome. If I chose, I might have principles quite as well as he. If they grew on one's family tree, I should only have to give mine a shake to bring down a shower of the finest. At any rate, I prefer clever Bonapartes to stupid Bourbons." "Oh, I see you want to go to court," said Newman, vaguely conjecturing that she might wish him to appeal to the United States Legation to smooth her way to the imperial balls. The marquise gave a sharp little laugh. "You are 1,000 miles away. I will take care of the Tuileries myself. The day I decide to go, they will be very glad to have me. Sooner or later I shall dance in an imperial quadrille. I know what you're going to say. How will you dare? But I shall dare. I am afraid of my husband. He is soft, smooth, irreproachable, everything that you know, but I am afraid of him, horribly afraid of him. And yet I shall arrive at the Tuileries, but that will not be this winter, nor perhaps next, and in the meantime I must live. For the moment I want to go somewhere else. It's my dream. I want to go to the Bal Bullier." "To the Bal Bullier?" repeated Newman, for whom the words at first meant nothing. "The ball in the Latin Quarter, where the students dance with their mistresses. Don't tell me you have not heard of it." "Oh yes," said Newman, "I have heard of it. I remember now. I have even been there. And you want to go there?" "It is silly, it is low, it is anything you please, but I want to go. Some of my friends have been, and they say it is awfully drôle. My friends go everywhere. It is only I who sit moping at home." "It seems to me you are not at home now," said Newman, "and I shouldn't exactly say you were moping." "I am bored to death. I have been to the opera twice a week for the last 8 years. Whenever I ask for anything, my mouth is stopped with that. Pray, madam, haven't you an opera box? Could a woman of taste want more? In the first place, my opera box was down in my contrat. They had to give it to me. Tonight, for instance, I should have preferred 1,000 times to go to the Palais Royal. But my husband won't go to the Palais Royal because the ladies of the court go there so much. You may imagine, then, whether he would take me to Bullier's. He says it is a mere imitation, and a bad one, of what they do at the Princess Kleinfuss's. But as I don't go to the Princess Kleinfuss's, the next best thing is to go to Bullier's. It is my dream, at any rate. It's a fixed idea. All I ask of you is to give me your arm. You are less compromising than anyone else. I don't know why, but you are. I can arrange it. I shall risk something, but that is my own affair. Besides, fortune favors the bold. Don't refuse me. It is my dream." Newman gave a loud laugh. It seemed to him hardly worth while to be the wife of the Marquis de Bellegarde, a daughter of the Crusaders, heiress of 6 centuries of glories and traditions, to have centered one's aspirations upon the sight of a couple of hundred young ladies kicking off young men's hats. It struck him as a theme for the moralist, but he had no time to moralize upon it. The curtain rose again, M. de Bellegarde returned, and Newman went back to his seat. He observed that Valentin de Bellegarde had taken his place in the baignoire of Mademoiselle Nioche, behind this young lady and her companion, where he was visible only if one carefully looked for him. In the next act Newman met him in the lobby and asked him if he had reflected upon possible emigration. "If you really meant to meditate," he said, "you might have chosen a better place for it." "Oh, the place was not bad," said Valentin. "I was not thinking of that girl. I listened to the music, and without thinking of the play or looking at the stage, I turned over your proposal. At first it seemed quite fantastic. And then a certain fiddle in the orchestra—I could distinguish it—began to say, as it scraped away, 'Why not, why not?' And then in that rapid movement all the fiddles took it up, and the conductor's stick seemed to beat it in the air. 'Why not, why not?' I'm sure I can't say. I don't see why not. I don't see why I shouldn't do something. It appears to me really a very bright idea. This sort of thing is certainly very stale. And then I could come back with a trunk full of dollars. Besides, I might possibly find it amusing. They call me a raffiné. Who knows but that I might discover an unsuspected charm in shopkeeping? It really would have a certain romantic, picturesque side. It would look well in my biography. It would look as if I were a strong man a first-rate man, a man who dominated circumstances." "Never mind how it would look," said Newman. "It always